Hi kids, it's Dr. Tamara Fackrell with CEHeroes.com, here to teach you another amazingly fun project, making your own bath bombs. Now this is something I got really excited because I actually love bath bombs. It creates a lot of relaxation in our life, and that's what we're going to talk about in character education as we go through this project, is ways that you can create relaxation for yourself. And so when you're angry or upset a little bit, what can you do to calm yourself down? We call it in our book 5, book 5, the anger management book, turtle timeout techniques. What can you do to create space for yourself to be able to put your smart brain back on? And so I thought it would be fun for us to go through a creative project to be able to make our own bath bombs. So what you're going to need is a half a cup of Epsom salt, 1 cup of baking soda. You'll also need a half a cup of citric acid, a teaspoon of water, 2 teaspoons of essential oils, and that would be the smell that you want it to have, 3 teaspoons of olive oil or coconut oil, and then food coloring, and then you've got to have some type of shaping. So I actually got some bath bomb shapings because it's something I want to do long term. But you also could just use a cookie cutter. Here I have a pixie cookie cutter that I have. You can also use, these are my favorite heart silicone shapes that I've used for other things on these projects, like the soap project. Or this is just a little tiny pan that we have to make cupcakes. So we're going to just try a few different designs to see how it works out for us, because you know I like to explore and see the best things for you. So when we're talking about this project, you mix together all of the dry ingredients and you mix together the wet ingredients. And then you mix them all together, put them in the mold, and let it sit for 24 hours. So it's pretty simple once you have the ingredients. And so we're going to give it a go. So I've got my mixing bowl, and I also decided to use a cookie sheet. I've got a placer here and a cookie sheet so that I can let them dry, and I can move it off my table so I can let them dry overnight. Okay, so we're going to just measure a half a cup of Epsom salt. Now another idea for you is that some of the Epsom salt already comes flavored. They have lavender flavor or orange or whatever, coconut. You can buy the Epsom salt that's already flavored if you don't want to put in oils to it. So there's all different ways to do this project. It's like a PIXIE project. Remember what PIXIE stands for? Preparation, incubation, expand, you do the work. That's from book 11, Find Joy in Creativity. And so this is all of our creative projects that we made from that book, and I'm really excited to share these with you. And so there's all sorts of ways you can expand this project, and you know that I like to try to experiment and do things so that we can find the best. So we also need 1 cup of baking soda. So I'm just going to measure that in onto my dry ingredient. You guys can follow along. And then citric acid is something that we kind of had to order special for this. There are some alternatives, and I will give you some alternative recipes if you don't want to order in the citric acid, but the citric acid, they said, does work the best. Okay, the citric acid is what helps it bubble through. Okay, now we're going to just measure our wet ingredients into this little cup. So it's 3 teaspoons of olive oil. We chose olive oil. You can use coconut oil. There's canola oil. We have olive oil on hand, so I was just trying to make it like a scrappy project of things where you don't have to get as many things. So we've got 3 teaspoons of our olive oil for us, and then 1 teaspoon of water. Simple. And then we decided we are going to do a lavender-based one. And so we're going to put in 2 teaspoons of essential oils. Great. And then we're going to make these violet. So we've got our food coloring and can add 4 drops. And then with the food coloring, you just have to get it the color you want. So you can add more. So I'm going to mix in my violet here. And if you want it darker once you add it in, okay, now I've got my wet mixture and my dry mixture. Now this is the fun part. You get to get a little dirty with it. You put them together. And you get to mix it with your hands. So mix it all up until it's all wet. And when you talk about ways that can relax you, one thing is taking a hot bath. That's something that really relaxes me. Also having different scents around. The lavender scent is something that's really soothing. So that's something awesome that you can do for relaxation. You can also go to your happy place. That's another thing that we talk about in the book. Oh, cool. So there it is. Now let's just say you wanted to add a little bit more color. You can. You can put 3 drops of your food coloring in. And then you can continue to mix it until you get it just the right color that you want. Now the mixing, once you put the drops in, it takes about 30 seconds at least of mixing to make it a little bit darker. Ooh, but this just feels really fun and good. And it smells so good too. Great. I like to start with just a smaller bath bomb. I'm a person that's a little bit frugal, so I don't like to use a big, huge bath bomb inside of my bathtub. I'd rather use a small one each time. So sometimes even when I have a bigger bath bomb that I bought in the past, I put it in and then I use it a second time, another time. So I'm going to show you first just using a smaller one. So you just pack the mold, you pop the mold in, and you want to get it a little above. So don't have it go below, have it a little above the mold. And then you pack in the other side as well. And then here's the fun part. You just try with all your might to squeeze them together like that. And then it's a pretty simple project. And then you let it sit for 24 hours. So I'm going to let that one sit. Here's a mold that I have for a seashell. It's a little bit bigger of a mold. Now when you do the seashell mold, you really have to press down hard to make sure that you get the mold to grab the seashell portion and the ripples of it. Then I also just wanted to try a cookie cutter. This is a Pixie cookie cutter that I got. So on this one, you're going to actually lay it flat onside your cookie sheet, and you're going to mold it in that way. Mold it into the cookie cutter. So there's a lot of different ways. You don't have to get an expensive mold on these. You can just use a cookie cutter that you have at home. And Pixies are creative. It helps your thinking grow. And so that's kind of part of the fun of these projects, is that you can expand, you can teach yourself lessons with character education as we're going. So I've got that in the cookie cutter mold. Yay! So I've got my Pixie one. And then you can just use some things you have at home. I've got my heart silicone, which those of you that saw me make the soap project know it's one of my favorites. So I'm going to pack one of those in. And you want to pack it really, really tight. So you want to push it down so hard. Don't leave it soft packed or it won't dry right. So pack it in super, super tight. You can get rid of the excess. All right, so I packed it in really tight into my silicone mold. That's another option. This one's just a little cupcake option. I thought, heck, why not? You've got a little cupcake pan at home. If you're into really big bath bombs, you could also use a big cupcake pan. And remember, you want to press them down. So you can see I've got that option. And then, this is another pan that I just had at home for cake batter. So I thought it'd be fun to give it a try. Maybe another thing that might relax you is going into nature or spending some time in nature. Another really great skill that's in the happiness literature is to record things in your journal. So record the happy things in your life too, and things you want to work on, learning by experience. Ooh. So we've got that one too. So you get all of these put together, and then guess what? Now we just have to wait 24 hours to be able to take them out of our molds. And we will see how this awesome make your own bath bomb project ends up working out. Awesome. Here are the bath bomb projects. It turned out really fun, and I'll tell you what, the easiest one to get out of the mold was the cookie cutter. And also the silicone hearts. The other ones were a little harder to get out of the mold, even the actual bath bomb that I bought itself, that mold. So I'm going to recommend the cookie cutter or some type of silicone shape for the easiest way to make a bath bomb. And I'm so excited to be able to use these, and I'm excited to hear how your projects go. All right, I'll see you guys next time at ceheroes.com.